Long Island Boat and Fishing Show is back at the Nassau Coliseum, March 13th through 15th. Long Island's top dealers will be there with huge savings on boats, tackle, personal watercrafts, and the latest electronics. This show has it all. Children will be entertained by Twiggy, the water skiing squirrel. Enjoy free face painting. Plus, on Saturday and Sunday, the first 100 kids get a free life vest, free parking all weekend, and Friday it's free Heroes Day admission for military and first responders. 3 days only, March 13th through 15th. Visit nyboatshows.com for details.
The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to our number duo here on the Saturday Morning Extravaganza, your Saturday morning vibe. We are so pleased, ladies and gentlemen, to have a man with us who is the embodiment of the American dream. His life story is amazing. He comes from the immigrant experience and has now become one of the leading media figures in America. He and his wife formed Red Apple Audio Networks, among their other media holdings. Also, retail, grocery, also energy. Just amazing what he has been able to do in this beautiful, wonderful country of ours, America. John Catsimatidis, welcome. How are you this morning?
Well, good morning, Bo. You know, Saturday morning, I always listen to you on Saturday morning because it's a little bit of time to relax for the weekend, and you have some common sense, and that's the most important thing. It's not about being a Democrat, not about being a Republican. It's about having common sense and loving America and loving our way of life. And you know what it comes down to? You know, I don't know if you know this or not. I was a Bill Clinton Democrat.
I did not know that.
Yes. I was very close to Bill Clinton. I ran his campaign in the 1990s, the late 1990s, in the Northeast here. And, you know, he was a regular guy. I mean, you know, did he have a few sins? Possibly. I mean, but find me somebody that doesn't have any sins at all.
Yes.
If you find me somebody that doesn't have any sins at all, I'll tell you who's lying or not. You know, I know President Trump for well, I used to say 45 years. It's probably closer to 50 years now. He is he a Republican? Yeah, in a lot of ways he is a Republican. But you know what it is? He's more of a businessman, and he's treating the United States of America as a business, which is great because it's going to make, you know, the United States of America is the greatest country in the world. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And that's what it's all about. And what he's trying to accomplish right now is get rid of the nut jobs, the terrorists. And I think it's the most important thing because, look, President Biden, I'm not going to blame him. I don't think he knew. I don't think he was conscious. I don't think he knew what was going on. If you talk to people that know him very well, and I know him for 40 years too, President Biden, the last 4 years of his presidency, was not President Biden. So I don't want to blame him. But the people around him were very, very bad for America. And look, I am the highest layperson in the Greek Orthodox Church of North America, of the United States, and also I report to the Patriarch in Constantinople, who is on equal footing with the Pope in Christianity, and I'm also in charge of keeping ecumenical, I guess, religion. We love the Muslim people. We love the Protestants. We love the Christians. We love the Jews. I get along with everybody. But there's a sect of the Muslim community, and the sect, I forget what they call it. Let me see if I remember. Dawa is an Islam, a sect of the Muslim community that says the whole world must become Muslim. It is a political government expanding throughout Europe, now in the United States and New York City. Only Hungary, Poland, and Portugal are resisting it in Europe, and Greece a little bit. And I don't believe in having wars among religion. I believe in that everybody should have the freedom of their religion, whether they're Muslim or whether they're Jews or whether they're Christians. Everybody should have freedom. But to attack each other's religion, I think is wrong. So let's go back to what you called me for. What did you really call me for? Oil.
And I want to know, and thank you for that, oil, because you know these energy markets better than anybody else. You have been, and by the way, 3 years ago now, you told me, we were talking privately, and you told me keep an eye on micro nuclear. I read something this week, China is making the advancements, and we are lagging behind. But before we get even to that, oil, how important is... We
can talk for 3 hours, you know that.
Yes.
Oil. Okay.
How important is oil, John, for the economy of the world?
The oil is the only real economy of the world. It's going to run the world for the next 30, 40, 50 years. The United States, North America, and hopefully, I know that President Trump and Prime Minister Carney of Canada talked last week. So hopefully they're getting better, getting together a little bit, because there was a lot of conflict there. The Canadians, I love the Canadians. They're great people. But they can't take a joke, in my opinion. When President Trump says we're going to make him the 51st state, we know, we're getting to know President Trump. He likes to do things like that. He doesn't really mean it. He really wants, in my opinion, I don't want to talk for the president, but he does. Once people sit around the same table with him, there's always a deal to be made. He is a deal maker. And I was on Fox News yesterday. I was at Fox Business with Maria Bartiromo. And what I said is, the fact is, and it's very important, this is a very important part, World War II was started because Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who, by the way, who did not like the Jews. Remember, he turned away all those ships away from New York.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Franklin Delano Roosevelt squeezed the Japanese people and gave them zero oil. And that's the Japanese had no choice but to attack Pearl Harbor. And that's how World War II started. Some people are saying that maybe Roosevelt really wanted to get into World War II and help Europe, and that's why that was an excuse to get into it. I don't know what the real truth is. Maybe someday we'll find out. But President Trump, what is he doing? He took over Venezuela. Cuba, any day now. Any day now. It's going to happen. And I understand that Marco Rubio is talking to the Cubans, and they're talking in Spanish, in Cuban accent, which is good. Marco
and by
Rubio,
the way,
yeah.
John, didn't we learn that the Cuban Communist Party headquarters was set on fire by demonstrators in Cuba?
I did not see that yet. See, you woke up a little bit earlier than I did today, and I didn't get up till 6 o'clock.
Okay. I believe that I saw reports online that the communist headquarters in Cuba has been set on fire by protesters. People are now protesting in the street against the communist regime. We'll see whether that pans out or not.
Well, I understand that Marco Rubio is talking to Fidel Castro's grandson, who is still very well respected and still has a lot of power, I guess. And maybe I think President Trump has won back the entire the southern and northern hemisphere, South America, Central America. And he's done a great job. Now let's go the other way. Because we cut out, we took over Venezuela that was supplying China. We took over Iran supplying China. You know what President Trump did? President Trump called up China, and you know what he said to them? You can have all the oil you want. In other words, he has China, President Xi, and President Trump have communications. Communications is the most important thing in the world because there's not going to be World War III because they know with President Trump, it's a negotiation, it's not a war. And the same thing with Putin. Putin may be a pain in the rear end, and he is a pain in the rear end. But at the end of the day, it's a negotiation with Putin. There is going to be no World War III. He's been in charge of Russia for, 20 years, 30 years. There is no World War III, and he has communications with President Trump. So are we going to have minor skirmishes? Yes, but no world wars. Isn't that the most important thing in the world, Bo?
It is absolutely important. Now, you mentioned in your text to me that under Biden, oil was $90 a barrel for 4 years. What are you expecting to happen here with the situation with Iran and the price of oil?
Okay. I mean, for your listener there that was upset, is under President Biden, it was $90 a barrel for 4 years. That's 48 months. When President Trump became president in January 20th, he brought it down to the middle 50s right away. That's where oil was when he was president, in 2017 to 2021. I mean, it's simple. I try to describe it as simple as possible so people understand. Right now, the world, it's not us. We're in the oil business. We're in the refining business. It's not us that are causing the price of oil to do. It's the big four, the big five, the Exxon Mobils of the world. And oil is up to $90 a barrel, but it's for 2 weeks right now. Maybe it's going to be for another 2, 3, 4 weeks. But when oil drops, it's going to drop back down to, I estimate, and I'm right most of the time, 90% of the time. No, nobody's right 100% of the time. The price of oil going forward will be anywhere from 55 to 65. And the other thing, interest rates. Interest rates are coming down. You got a new Fed chair coming in on, I guess, April or May, whatever. Interest rates are coming down. So it's going to make America more affordable. Low energy costs, low interest rates, and I don't know why the Democrats are fighting President Trump so badly. I really don't know where the craziness is coming from. Even the federal judges are fighting President Trump.
Yep. Well, this is at Boasberg again with this ruling last night, which we'll get to. The same judge, Boasberg. Yes,
and it's wrong, and the Supreme Court has to step in and say enough is enough because it's creating a lot of havoc, and that's not right either. President Trump is the chief executive officer. Let him run the country. Now, I'll give you one more example of him being a businessman. He said to the Ukraine, we're going to give you all the armaments you want, but, you ready for this one? You know all those minerals you have? We get first mortgage on them, or we get first use of them. So if I'm spending $100 billion or $10 billion in the Ukraine, guess what? We have collateral. We have the minerals. We have, and I'm sure he'll do the same thing with Iran in the future. I am sure he's doing the same thing with Venezuela. So you're talking, is he a Republican? He's a businessman first, a Republican second, in my opinion.
Love it.
So Mayor Mamdani in New York City wants to raise the estate taxes from 16 to 50% and lower the number from $7.1 million to $750,000, which, by the way, who do you think this affects? New York City has 123 billionaires, average age 67 years old. What do you think a 67-year-old is thinking about? Estate planning, living trust, and guess who else is probably going to be talking to that daddy that's worth $2.8 billion or $6.9 billion? Their kids are saying, Dad, we can't stay here if he's going to want to tax you this way. Number two, who else you think? The financial advisor at Goldman, Morgan, Merrill, whoever it is, going to say, probably not a good idea for you to stay here. And last but not least, the actual companies, the firms, the Goldman, the investment bankers, the bigger companies are probably going to hold a meeting saying, what are we going to do with these 123 billionaires? That if they stay here and they die, the number we have that we're managing right now is going to split if this passes. Of course, for it to pass, he's going to need Hochul, and they're right now feuding back and forth. But the reality of it is, the more language like this is spoken, California barely flinched at a 5% wealth tax, $1 trillion of wealth left. New York City, they're talking about something like this. Where do you think these 67-year-olds going to move? To a city called Palm Beach, Florida, if they flirt with it and if it passes.
John, what do you say? He wants to now change the death taxes. And again, it's this theme of tax the wealthy, tax. What about it?
It's crazy, and I hope Governor Hochul, hopefully she has some common sense because she has the right to override it. Hopefully Janine Menem, the city council president, has common sense, because you're just going to, with $750,000, no matter what it is, the middle class will start to escape. Right now, J.P. Morgan has more employees in Texas than they have in New York. And they just finished building a building for $4 billion or $3.5 billion. Yesterday was Jamie Dimon's 70th birthday party. You know what I said to Jamie at one time? I said to him, if you're not there, J.P. Morgan, running that bank, I'm going to sell the stock. And you need common sense. And you can't, remember how we talked about abusing any religion? The same way you cannot abuse any class. Do not, the 2% of the New Yorkers already pay 48% of taxes in New York. Don't abuse any religion. Don't abuse any class. Don't abuse the poor. Don't abuse the middle class. Don't abuse the rich.
That illegal immigrant who pushed an 83-year-old veteran on the tracks, he's in this country illegally. He was deported 4 times. He had 15 prior arrests, and he was residing in a city shelter that we, the taxpayers, are funding. Now, the question really is, he was arrested 15 times. Number one, why was he released back onto our streets? Well, Kathy Hochul has this radical bail law that lets everyone loose. Why was he not turned over to ICE if he's in the country illegally committing crimes? Well, because the city has a ridiculous sanctuary policy that protects individuals like him. And the third thing is Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. This guy is the one who they're defending. This is who they're fighting for. This is who they're shutting down the Department of Homeland Security for, to protect guys like this that are in the country illegally, wreaking havoc on our streets. And it's shameful. So, he's a perfect poster child, this illegal immigrant who did this, of what the Democrat policies lead to. And Mamdani should be coming out forcefully condemning this. He doesn't even care. You have an 83-year-old man injured. Where is he? Did he reach out to the family? Has he visited this man in the hospital that was attacked by somebody who shouldn't have been here to begin with? And his policies continue to protect.
James Goldman, Snerdley, with you here on our Saturday Extravaganza. With me, John Catsimatidis. John, that was Nicole Maliotokis. They tried to wipe her seat out in Staten Island. I think that's over, and she prevailed. So she will be running again. New York City, New York State, sanctuary city. You had this 83-year-old, one of two people pushed on the New York City subway tracks. Don't know whether he's going to live or not. It turns out illegal alien been deported 5 times, in jail over again. These cases are so common. Every day you read about another one in some part of the country. Meanwhile, we have people now standing online for hours and hours trying to get flights because because Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and the Democrat Party have shut down DHS to fund TSA, FEMA, Coast Guard, all so that they can intimidate the administration into corralling ICE so that they don't conduct deportations. John, where is all this headed? And you said common sense. What about any of this is common sense?
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
None of it is common sense. Last night, and I had Senator John Fetterman on my show. And you know what he said? The way the Democratic Party is today, and I could say it as an old Clinton Democrat the same way. If President Trump said, I want chocolate syrup on my my sundae, they'll say, you're prejudiced. You want black syrup on your sundae instead of having strawberry syrup or something. I mean, it's craziness going on. You know, when me and you grow up, Bo, they used to have a Superman comic called Bizarro World.
Yes.
Well, I think we have experienced Bizarro World. I mean, if it's snowing, they're going to blame it on President Trump. There's a Trump syndrome in the Democratic Party. The leadership of the Democratic Party has said, well, we can get 40% of the people that hate Trump, and that's going to be our new agenda. Well, I say you're wrong, guys. You're wrong. It's about sitting down at the same table and doing what's best for America. Why? I mean, President Trump. I'm also the chairman of the Federal Law Enforcement Foundation, where all the 3-letter words come about. And you know, my chief of staff is George Venizelos, who's the FBI for 27 years, and he was in charge in New York for 4 years. And you know what I'm saying? Law enforcement, you gotta have common sense. And what I told originally to President Trump, just before the election in 2024, I met with him in August 2024 in Bridgehampton. And there was only about 10 of us, or 15 of us. It was at the current Secretary Lutnick's home. And you know, they all were sitting around. I remember Kevin McCarthy was on my left, and on my right was the head of the GOP, Watley, at that time. And President Trump says, and he thought he was making everybody in the room happy. We're going to deport 20 million people. I said, Mr. President, and I always call him Mr. President, even though I know him for 50 years. I said, Mr. President, we're not going to do that. And he laid back and he said, John, I said, we're going to get rid of all the major criminals. Let's get rid of the drug addicts. Let's get rid of the killers. Don't forget, Mondani in Venezuela opened up all the jails, sent all the people, the murderers, the killers, they sent them all to New York mostly. And they opened up all the hospitals. They sent all the sick people. I was also, by the way, vice chairman of the Ellis Island Foundation, along with Bill Fugazi, an old New York guy, and Lee Iacocca. And we believe in immigration. Immigration, yes, invasion? No. And what did we always say? We say we want immigrants, but we don't want killers. We don't want people we don't want diseased people coming in unsegregated, because that's what happened in Ellis Island. We don't want the kids coming in from Venezuela, and we feel bad for them, but you can't have them come in and not get checked and having sitting next to our healthy kids in classrooms. Yeah, it has to be checks and balances. That's what democracy is all about.
Now
Let's take care of the American people.
John, you have to know Chuck Schumer. Of all,
Very well.
Okay, you know Schumer.
Yes.
You've known Schumer for 40 years. Schumer used to be reasonable when it came to immigration. And
yes.
what the heck happened to Chuck Schumer?
I think all the common sense Democrats are scared of the Democratic Socialist people. There's 100,000 of them in New York that got Zorhan elected, and they're scared stiff because they know how to use combat against common sense Democrats, and they pick them off one by one, and they're scared stiff. They are scared stiff about losing their position in life. And what happens is, you know who I have on the show tomorrow? The U.S. Attorney, Jay Clayton, on my show tomorrow, Sunday morning, and he is designated by President Trump to protect New York, and he works with all the federal bureaus, ATF, DEA, FBI, and he works with all the federal bureaus to keep New Yorkers safe. Because right now, he works with the NYPD very well, and I think Jessica Tisch is working very, very hard. And we have to have law and order. We have to have the quality of life. It is crazy what's going on in New York. And if we lose the senior NYPD police force and replace them with all rookies, New Yorkers are not going to be well off.
All right, one last thing, John. I want you to...
One more item to talk to you about real fast when you have a chance. Go ahead.
All right, I want you to listen to this Kathy Hochul. She was interviewed by Politico. It was a Politico event. That's cut 10, Matt. And this is and so she's talking about affordability. Let's check in with that. I want to get your take on Kathy Hochul, who you also know, who you also communicate with. Kathy Hochul.
I know New Yorkers are exasperated. They feel that everything's stacked against them. They're not getting ahead. Their rents are too damn high. Their child care costs are high. Their utility bills, and thank you to Washington, we're going to have higher prices at the pump. We already do. Everything just seems so hard for people. So I understand that frustration. You should join me in the North Country yesterday in Ogdensburg and Watertown, and people are so upset about the tariffs. Raising the cost of everything. So there is this anxiety, which is real, and we're continuing to address the affordability crisis, which I believe should be the number one priority of this legislative session. What can we do to take off some of that pain that New Yorkers are feeling that I hear about literally every day? What I want to make sure we are smart about is having a system in place where it's not just taxing for the sake of taxing, and being conscious of the facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who've stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So I philosophically don't have a problem. It is like I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay. We saw that that's not the case. I mean, Wall Street businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor. I know that for sure. But they're going there because of the tax rate. We have to be smart about this. But we can fund what we want to fund with what we already are taking in.
All right, John. So on one hand, she's saying people that already pay the highest taxes should pay more so that they can fund their generous, as she puts it, social welfare. So number one, wealthy people who are already paying the burden of New York taxes, the highest burden of New York taxes, should dig in a little deeper, just be patriotic and just give us more money to spend. Never mind how much of it goes to fraud. Never mind all that. Just do the right thing, be patriotic and spend more money. Number two, you're supposed to go down to Palm Beach, I guess, John and you other people, and just beg the people in Palm Beach to come back to New York because New York is run so well and they want to tax you more. And what am I missing here? What makes sense with what she's saying, John?
Well, remember what we talked about a few minutes ago? We talked about don't abuse any particular area. 2% of the wealthy are paying 48% of the taxes. And if we abuse them, they're going to leave. The upper middle class is going to leave. And you're going to have a downtown Detroit in New York City. And New York City I love New York. I don't want to leave. But don't force any particular class. Don't abuse any particular class. Kathy Hochul, I know very well. She's a nice lady, but she's got an election year, and she's scared stiff because she's being threatened by the Democratic Socialist Party. And the fact is that will New Yorkers pay a little bit more? Yes, they'll pay a little bit more. But when you go after them and try to make them bleed, then they're going to leave. So you need common sense to prevail. And I'll tell you, fraud is not negotiable. I had Dr. Oz last Sunday morning on my show, and you know what he said? Don't forget, in Florida, you got 24 million people now. In New York State, you have 19,800,000, right? The Medicare, I forget, Medicare or Medicaid, I confuse them all the time, is in Florida, it's $33 billion. In New York, it's $100 billion. Now, you got more retired people in Florida. Something smells. President Trump has put Dr. Oz in charge of figuring out where the hell is the money going in New York to be triple that of Florida. In other words, yes, we want to take care of the elderly. Yes, we want to take care of the sick. But fraud is not acceptable. And that is very important. And go back to President Trump as a businessman. Fraud is not acceptable. Yes, we want to help the elderly. Yes, we want to help the sick. But in the sanctuary city, we can't take care of the entire world. You can't take care of everybody. That's why the United States always had a policy: stay in Venezuela, stay in Cuba. We will send you foreign aid, and we will help you where you are. But you're not welcome to New York right now, All
right, you said you had one other thing for me. You said you had one other thing. Yeah.
By the way, your ratings, I'm watching your ratings on your ratings are climbing. We get ratings every 5 minutes.
I love it.
And I have it on my screen. That's what I watch 24 hours a day, the ratings. You said we're going to run out of oil. Not true. The planet Earth, our creator, our God made it. Oil is not from the dinosaurs. Oil is being created by the planet Earth to help the plaques move along. Anytime they use fracking and they take too much oil out of it, that's when you have earthquakes like in Oklahoma. So oil is made by the planet Earth. You're never going to run out of oil. You're never going to run out of water. You can keep the water is the same water we had 1 billion years ago. We still have the same water. You can, and the reason for hurricanes, the reason for tornadoes, it's to balance out the world. The creator of the planet Earth, the creator of us, has created the planet Earth to balance itself out. So this crap about global warming, global cooling, it's all crap. And we cannot abuse our people and charge them $1 zillion for electricity because the people are doing dumb deals in New York.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.